Welcome to the Women's Saloon. We are here in Hyde Park in Sydney, Australia, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's such a warm day. It's been 30 degrees today, so I'm really enjoying the vibrancy of the evening. And today we're talking about Kundalini Awakening. And this is so exciting, and it's such a powerful thing to do. So I was working at home today, and there was a child that walked past the house, and it was screaming that it wanted something, and its mum wouldn't give it to him. And then he wanted to get in the car, and she denied him getting in the car. And this is what happens as kids, we from the minute we are born, we have a power struggle with our parents to get our way. We are constantly told, if you behave in a way that we think is suitable, then you're a good child. If you behave in a way that we don't think is suitable, you're a bad child. So from a very young age, our desires and our wants are suppressed, and we have to adhere to what our parents want. And of course, there's reasons for that. But right from the day we are born, this is a reality in our lives. And so Kundalini is so interesting. So Kundalini in the yogic philosophy is an energy that sits at the base of your spine. And it is the divine feminine energy. And she is very, very powerful. And she lies dormant. They refer to her as a snake. And she lies dormant until you can activate her and awaken her. And what happens, from my understanding, and I haven't experienced this myself, is that she wakes up and then she moves through your chakras, through your bodies, up to your head, and clears everything that needs to be cleared to give you absolute transformation. So today we are going to a phenomenal woman by the name of Wildfrau. She's actually quite renowned here in Sydney. Beautiful Kundalini referred her to us, and I don't know if Lucinda, did you know about her before? No. Yeah. So she is absolutely phenomenal at doing Kundalini activation, and we have decided to do a workshop with her today. And when you watch the videos of how it happens, it looks really supernatural. It looks really mysterious because your body and your limbs start shaking uncontrollably or involuntarily rather than uncontrollably. So we wanted to share this experience with you. And before we went ahead, I just wanted to ask my team, why they wanted to do Kundalini. And what are they expecting? Lucinda, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Petra. I would like to experience a different form of yoga. I certainly do enjoy hot yoga and just your standard practice of yoga. So Kundalini for me is a new experience and something that I have practiced once before, but I haven't done it since. So yeah, I think this particular one will be a great experience.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chandni. I recently moved from India. And having grown up in a country where spirituality is in every nook and corner, I heard so much about Kundalini while growing up and realized it's ultimately every yogi's goal. They want to work on their Kundalini, and so it fascinated me from a few years. And this is not going to be my first proper session. I tried to come for a session about a month and a half back. But the first time, because I didn't read it well and I didn't know what to expect, I was a bit scared when the session started, especially seeing how people were moving their body, and they like to call it the inner dance of the soul. Probably I was not ready for it, and I tried to shut myself on the experiences. I was afraid of not having control over my body and mind. So I was using my senses too hard not to have any experience. But when I went back home, I realized what a mistake, what an opportunity that I missed. So this time here, I want to rectify that and experience something that probably very few people experience or even know about it. So I consider myself very lucky to have found such a great teacher here in Sydney, and I'm just looking forward to the experience, and more so because I've heard it connects you to your higher self. It opens your consciousness towards the world. So we'll be back with the experience once we are done with the session, and we'll tell you more. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, ladies, for sharing. So, as Shantali said, we will be then doing a bit of a video when we finish. I was originally going to do some filming, but out of the respect to everyone there, Wildfrau has said it's best if we don't, so that we can actually focus on what we're doing and not be concerned about the camera going and is the angle right. So this is the before video, and we are excited to show you the after. So see you soon. For an ultimate beginner,
Okay.
how would you define Kundalini?
Yeah, so Kundalini is energy. It's life force. You can also call it chi, and it is. I would define it as its enhanced energy that we all carry within, and we have the ability to activate that energy. So we're tapping into our energetic field that is really powerful, but on a normal basis we wouldn't do that, but we do have that power. And once you activate that energy, you create this energy flow within you that, again, is enhanced, it's more powerful. We're all energy beings, so it just enhances that, at least enhance a lot, but it enhances your life in so many assets. It's like in so many aspects. It's quite hard to even sum it up, because
It's so interesting. When I was doing my research, it came up that it originally came out. It was a tantric. It was part of tantra.
Yeah.
It was a sexual energy. It was the belief that it was a feminine divine energy that lay sort of like a snap. What do they call it? Like coil. A coil. So that is it at the back of your spine? Yes.
So it is sexual energy. It's the energy of creation.
Mm-hmm.
So and the universe is the energy of creation too. So yes, it is sexual energy, but it also comes from the yogic background, and it's actually in any culture. If you look into ancient cultures, so the snake is usually the symbol for Kundalini, and it's that the snake, or actually two snakes, are going up the spine, and that's your Kundalini awakening. So it represents that energy going up into your pineal gland, and that's actually where at the spine, at the top of the spine, when the energy goes up, it actually releases, the spine releases melatonin, and that's when you have these mystical experiences. So that's why people sometimes feel like they've taken drugs, because that's literally what it is. It's DMT. So
I thought you were going to say, but at least like that's how you feel you're having an orgasm. Because I was like, I guess
that's
and it releases and it's having an orgasm. I'm like, wow, really?
People actually, but it is sexual energy. So it's possible to have a full body orgasm. Yes.
I think sexual energy is more like, if I understand it correctly, the sexual energy is the creative energy, as you say. It's the birthing of something,
exactly,
right?
Yes.
It's so exciting. So, look, for the people at home, I can see them going, that all sounds really lovely, but like I've never felt that, or I've never known to feel that. So and we all have it. You say we all have it, but how do I sort of how do I know I have it?
Yeah. Well, we all have it, so it's part of our evolution as human beings. It's part of our spiritual growth. To use that energy to expand your consciousness, and we all have it. So there are different techniques of how you can activate it.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about that, because you've now become a teacher, and is it a healer? Is that the right terminology?
You can call me healer. It's a funny one. I don't know what to call myself. I always say Kundalini facilitator. So I work for Kundalini. Kundalini is my boss.
Well, I did look it up. There was a word here. I wonder if it's familiar. If you're familiar with it, but I'll come to it anyway. It talks about someone who's gone through their own Kundalini experience, and then has the ability to activate the other people's Kundalini. So, but tell me more about that journey for you into the healing space, being able to activate other people's Kundalini, and the methods you use there. Because I'm really interested, because you just touch people and it seems to work. So explain that to me.
Yeah, I wish I could give you the scientific background.
No, that sounds necessary.
It's funny because I come from a very analytical background. So for me, and I think most people, we need to totally understand what is going on in order to trust an experience. Even though we have the experience, we still need to know, how does this work? How is it happening? Rather than just accepting, okay, I feel this, it must be real. So when my Kundalini was activated, I started my Kundalini Awakening journey, which by the way never ends. Like, there's lots of layers to it. Surprise! Yeah, I had the same thing about it. Was almost like my mind was I was trying to talk myself out of actually having the experience. It's almost like, no, I'm just imagining these things. This is not happening, but it was happening. So it's almost like this part of the ego where you have to come to terms with this new experience and start accepting and surrendering to life. And I completely forgot your question now. But,
I forgot the question too.
Basically, I started, so with Wayland Wong, so I had another class with him, and so the first class was this inner voice, this is what you're meant to do. Then I thought, whoa, my ego is like crazy. So I kind of left it, but then I had another class and I literally could not leave the room without I needed to go to him to ask him if I somehow can learn this. Basically what happened was I started assisting him, and that was really amazing because he taught me a lot about holding a space for a big group. But with the activation itself, I can't really explain why it happens, but from my own research, Kundalini energy, because it's so strong, and if you have a strong Kundalini, it radiates outwards the energy, and it automatically wants to expand. So it does activate other people, and I don't really have to do much for it. So, yeah, and to a certain extent, everyone theoretically can do that. So it's not. I'm the one that has this, like,
you're not the gifted.
I'm not the one that came from heaven sent. But it's amazing because there is a part of, you do have to strengthen your Kundalini in order, like, the stronger your Kundalini is, the more receptive other people are to the energy. So that's why in classes usually it is about 90 to 95% of people joining for the first class, so they have the Kundalini activation.
Yeah.
And also the group energy plays a role as well, because you have few people, once they get their Kundalini activated, it's this big bubble of Kundalini energy, so it's easier to drop in for somebody new as well.
Well, so I giggle because as you said, one of the core things to really experience it is to let go.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, it's not to look for the Kundalini experience, it's to just let go of all the things that are in the way. And because I'm a very intellectual headspace kind of person, I remember the first class I did with you, I was sort of lying there and I was consciously saying to myself, just let it happen. Whatever happens, just let it happen. Like, don't look for it, don't ask for it, just chill out. And when that doubt comes in and that ego wants to talk you out of the experience, I'm like, no, not this. Forget not this. And just keeping myself back centered in the room, because it's and then I think for me it was also that expectation that I wanted something to happen, because if it didn't happen, well then is there something wrong with me? And they real like that play like, well, I've seen everyone else do it, so if I don't do it, like, do I not have the stuff? And that real that conversation was very strong for me. And I had to really focus on bringing myself back into the room constantly. So you said there's a lot of layers to it. I'm interested then, because one that we see predominantly is the moving of the body.
Yeah.
But from what I've read is you know, there's that real feeling of light and energy coming in from the top of, mainly from the top of the head, I've read.
Feet as well.
Feet
so,
as
yeah,
well?
it can, hands.
Also wherever
yeah,
it can. And then I've heard a great description saying like a liquid light coming in through everything, the nervous system, through everything, and just creating that expansiveness. So other than the movements, what else is there to experience?
Oh my god, the list is so long. Okay, where
Give
do
me
we
the,
start?
like, the top thing.
So the top things is the energy. Basically, the first thing the energy does is removing any emotional blockages that are in the way of creating this enhanced energy flow. So people can start feeling intense emotions, as in they start crying without knowing why, or they get really angry and they want to scream and they have to scream because there's something inside that wants to come out. So emotions is a big part. Then obviously you already mentioned movement plays a part in it. Feeling the energy inside you, like it's working on a cellular level where literally your nervous system is getting restructured. So there is a lot going on, but every session is quite different. So it really depends on the person, where they're at in their own process, in their own life. So some people might shake because that's what they need right now in order to get to that next level of the spiritual growth, while others cry, or they laugh, or they, there's so many things that could happen. So so these are only the symptoms in class, but after class usually there are things happening as well where because there's emotional blockage, usually some emotional blockages get cleared in the class. There is after class experiences of behavior changes. People feel more drawn to specific foods, but healthier foods. People feel bliss states, or they notice that their thinking has changed, like limited beliefs are just gone, and it just becomes easier. So it's don't really have to work for changing. You're automatically changing and become more heart-centered. And you also, because of that, you're also higher in your frequency. You're attracting completely different experiences into your life. So
Very cool. Because once again, I look at you and I think to myself, I'm like a horse. I don't know if you've ever done horse riding. I use it loosely, right? But the one time I did a horse riding lesson, and we had to sort of go around this barn thing. And the horses are lazy, right? So they'll find the quickest path. And because I didn't know how to ride, the horse was just going everywhere with me and was just going the shortest path. And I'm like, I'm like a horse. I like to take the quickest path possible. Like if I can not have to work for it, and I was laughing because even with enlightenment, if I don't have to work for my enlightenment, and that's why I thought Kundalini Awakening is brilliant for me, because it gives me the good stuff without me having to work for it. Is that a...
Well, you still have to I guess work for it is not a good term. But it's not there is a lot to it, as in yes, it can also get very intense. So if you do work through some ego things or some emotional blockages, that the days after might not just be bliss. It could be that literally there's a waterfall coming out of you, and it's important to come back into trusting and surrendering, and that whatever happens to you, it's a good thing. It's cleansing you, and trusting that energy, that it's taking to the next step. And
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of still work. I don't like to use like you have to work for it.
Yeah.
I guess it's more about it's acceptance and trust, and that doesn't come easy to everyone.
Yeah, and so that really, acceptance and trust and surrender for me is work.
That's the word,
right?
Exactly.
Isn't that funny? And so that association so strong for me. And I think for our audience too, where we're so busy driving things forward, that's what we're so used to. Just to let things happen is not necessarily something we used to do. And so I did notice on your website you said the Kundalini Awakening is a powerful journey to happiness. Was it something like that? The powerful.
Maybe.
Yes.
I should check my website.
Could be. But tell me more about that, because I know many of our audiences you know, they have exactly what we were talking about, that they have the success that society says, they're looking for fulfillment. So how can Kundalini Awakening really help them to that path?
Yeah, so I think why I emphasize happiness on the website is because Kundalini is usually known as the enlightenment, but I didn't feel like a lot of people talk about actually, well, okay, enlightenment is great, but how do I integrate Kundalini into my everyday life? Like, how does it serve me if I don't want to sit on a mountaintop all day, every day? So happiness in the sense that the energy really brings you into your heart center. And like I said before, it takes out a lot of emotional blockages, and that plays a big part because those blockages are based on the way we grow up, our community, what we've been taught, how we should be. So a lot of us end up being someone that's not really us. We're not true to ourselves, but we don't know who we are. So how do we get there? So the energy basically shows you who you are, and it takes out all of that junk that we collected in our lifetime, and not even only our lifetime. So it's actually ancestry stuff as well. It could be past life as well. So in DNA with ancestry, so information gets passed on as well. So it might even be, you know, who knows from your lineage, like who knows from what time. So it's almost like starting with a blank page. So to really like coming back to your essence, and once you're there, you know who you are, you know what you want to do. There is no question about it. There's clarity, there's confidence. You kind of don't even give a shit about other people's judgment anymore. It's really about, you're fully owning your power. And with that comes happiness, because you're only pursuing what makes you happy. It's not about pleasing other people anymore. It's not about doing something that you've been told to do and that seems to be the right thing to do. It's really, no, this is my path and I know that, and I don't need validation from somebody else. I know it in my heart.
And that's so valuable, because we do live in a world, as you said, from the beginning, we're taught to please others. As kids, you know, our power, it's a constant power struggle with our parents, and, you know, we're taught to be good girls or whatever it is, you know, to be achievers, to get affirmation. And we do definitely lose ourselves. And it's that constant, who am I question comes up all the time. And it is, I find it is a real challenge for us, because we, especially when we get to a certain age, we're so used to being that person or that identity that we don't know how to go back. And what I really love about Kundalini, when I did it the first time, the awakening, was there were thoughts, and I kind of remember them now, which is great. There were these thoughts that I kept having, and I remember after the session wanting to think those thoughts which were not serving me, and then not being able to. And it was so, like, I was so attached to those thoughts, but then I couldn't go there anymore, and now those thoughts are gone. And I can't tell you what those thoughts are because they're gone now, but that was very powerful for me, and I really enjoyed that. So exciting. I love this stuff. So what are the main fears that people come up with when it comes to Kundalini Awakening?
I guess the main thing is because it is so easy in our day and age to look things up on the internet, and which is wonderful. It's a really empowering tool, but also if you are somebody who is already in a fear state, or who has who kind of like resonates, or who likes to control things, or I don't even know how to put it. But like, it's so easy for us to go down that path. Oh, there we find an article that's like somebody posted something bad. Oh, we need to look further into that.
Yes.
So going down that route, for some reason, it's more believable to believe in the bad things rather than in the good things.
Yes.
So I think the main challenge is all the stigma that's attached to Kundalini at the moment, because it's all coming from a religious background as well. I think that's the biggest thing. And then also, you mentioned before, you had that thought of, I need to have an experience, because if I don't have one, then something might be wrong with me. And I think that's the other thing. So sometimes I have people come up to me and they start comparing themselves to everyone
Yes.
else. And I did have the question before, is something wrong with me? And no, there's nothing wrong. It's a process. So it takes more time, and something has still happened. So you can have the next experience next time. So there's still stuff happening, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical one that we can feel. It could be something subconscious as well. So
Yeah, that's so great. And I also feel like just looking at what the Kundalini Awakening could freak people out, because the common word that constantly comes up is possession.
Yeah.
Am I going to be possessed? Like one of my wonderful team members was like, oh, I was frightened that I was going to be possessed. I'm like, possessed by, how can you be possessed by your own energy?
Yeah.
But in saying that, when I was doing it at home after the session with you, and I was actually very enthusiastically moving my head and my shoulders in ways that I hadn't done before. I was like, wow, this feels really out of worldly for me. And it's really keeping that fear at bay. Like, what is this? And I knew I was always in control. It's the natural process of the brain to look for things to keep you safe.
Exactly.
And I wasn't used to that.
But
So-
even with that experience, you knew what is happening. So imagine somebody who has a spontaneous awakening and they don't know about Kundalini. So that's where the scary part, like that's where the fear is created, because the spontaneous awakenings can, sometimes it does happen, and it even happens more so now. And sometimes people don't know about Kundalini, and imagine you're shaking, you would think something is wrong.
Oh my God, what's wrong with me?
So I think that's why the community also is really important, because being in that community and hearing other people sharing their stories like makes it okay. So you're not the only one going through it, and yes, it's okay. So
Yeah, that's valid. That's actually really valid. Because if you do have something spontaneous, they probably think you're epileptic or something like it. Because once again, we look for meaning to put it in the meaning of our boxes where it sits, right?
Yeah.
I think it's really exciting. So, if you had a message for the women to say, if they're thinking about it, but they're a bit like, what would you say to them?
just do it.
Just do it.
Just come. There's nothing to lose, only to gain.
Yeah.
So, as you also mentioned before, I think you gave a quote from somebody about Kundalini, that it has to be experienced because it can't be put in words. Something like that.
From Elizabeth Gilbert, Eat, Pray, Love.
That's exactly what it is. I could talk all day, every day about it, but it doesn't mean anything. It's words. Once you experience it, your body can really feel it and understand that that this is happening, and you can experience the benefits as well. So so the only way to find out is to come to a class and just be open.
And what I really love about it, and that's true, because a friend of mine said to me, when she was in India, they warned her about Kundalini because it's so dangerous. And I said to her, how about I just experience that? How about I just listen to what my experience is, my body tells me, and then I'll decide from there, as you said. What I do really love about the Kundalini Awakening is that it does allow you to really come back to you effortlessly, so effortlessly. And I really feel the personal development space or the spiritual space, whatever label we want to put around it, entails so much hard work. Like, meditate for years and do this for years and deal with your limiting beliefs and your past history and all of that. But you could just come to Kundalini and allow what's naturally in you to work its magic and give you exactly what you're searching for, which is yourself. Bring you closer to the truth of who you are. And I think that's a beautiful thing about Kundalini Awakening. And as you say, there is really no way to put that into words other than to experience it. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
And also with the meditation, for example, it's actually interesting because once the Kundalini is activated and you're going through your awakening, meditation becomes so much easier, yoga becomes so much easier, because there's already that enhanced energy flow, so it kind of almost guides you to do it because it's not, I wouldn't even say like just do Kundalini activation, like all the other all the other tools, I say, are important to integrate that as well, because it does enhance the here we go, enhance. It does enhance the process, and then helps to strengthen your Kundalini so as well.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's Kundalini meditation, Kundalini dance, and so I love that. So I suppose it all works collectively, doesn't
exactly,
it?
it does. And again, naturally you will be drawn, you will try out more things, or then synchronicity, it just pops in, and then it resonates with you, and then yin yoga is really good as well to combine that. I've done my teacher training in yin yoga.
Oh yeah, are you plugging your yoga class? You're so plugging that.
But yeah, so I personally feel that yin yoga is like really good for really spreading the whole energy in your body and balancing it out. So that's a really good one as a complementary practice. Meditation as well. So.
Yeah, I love that, and I think now that I've done the Kundalini Awakening, definitely it's almost understanding the purpose of why I'm doing it. You know, I was desperately doing meditation to experience Kundalini, to find my truth, to get closer to my truth, and I just felt nothing was happening. Because I don't surrender, because I don't let go, because I'm constantly expecting something to happen.
Exactly.
Constant expectation. I understand that intellectually, but this is why the Kundalini Awakening is really good for me for now. It's just because I don't actually have to do anything, and I can just really get my head out. I call it get my head out of the bad neighborhood. Just bring it back and I pull it out of my ass. One of the two, right? Which is a bad neighborhood, right? But really bring it in and just chill out and have that time to just do it. And also coming somewhere to do it for me is really important, because then I'm out of my own environment in the new environment, and having the collective for me. The energy of the people around me is so much more powerful. Even meditation in a group to me is so much more powerful than just doing it by myself. So it's so awesome. So lastly, thank you.
Thank you.
Lastly, because the show is practical wisdom for women to live their red hot truth, I wonder if you had a piece of red hot truth that you wanted to share with the women out there.
I think based on our conversation now, I think it is important to emphasize again that, the trust and surrender, that's not just something that's supposed to happen in class, it's about life. And trusting and surrendering what happens into your surroundings, and everything that happens in your life is tough as that sounds, you draw in.
Yes.
To learn and grow from it. So if you have a bad experience, or you label it as bad experience, you still drew that in because it helps you to grow as a person again. So it's really about, and I think that's about empowerment. It's really about seeing, because there are always two sides to it. Yes, I can focus on, this was real, why does this happen to me, rather than this happened for me in order to grow. So and once you flip that around, it's quite magical, to see how everything does come in for a particular purpose, a good purpose for your own growth, because that's what it's all about. That's what the universe is about. It's about expansion. That's what we're about. We're about expansion, about growth. So
amazing. Thank you for sharing. That was a great interview. Thank you. Well, listen, it is a couple of weeks after the original session, which is cool, because the phone ran out, and so we couldn't do it. So I just really wanted to talk to you about how you found the Kundalini Awakening experience.
It was something that I'd never felt before. I was literally glued to the floor, and I could hear everybody moving next to me, behind me, in front of me, and I seriously was I couldn't even move my pinky finger. So it was, definitely, I could feel myself wanting to move, but my body wouldn't allow me. And that was just, for me, the weirdest experience, because when I normally want to pick up something, I move my hand and it automatically picks something up. So that was, and I was like, stop judging yourself, stop judging yourself. But it was just, that was where I was at.
And we were just talking before, how it's about letting go and just letting the process happen. And yeah, and the same for me. I heard people moving next to me. I heard people screaming and tapping. And at that stage, I hadn't moved yet, and I was like, I want it to happen for me. Like, and you said you peeked at someone next to you, did you?
I did. I was like, okay, close your eyes. But okay, I totally had a look to the lady to the left, and she was just flowing away and moving around. And I thought, like, zone back into yourself, surrender, and yeah, that was and I still I couldn't believe I couldn't even turn my head. I had to peek out of the peripheral of my eye. It was incredible.
So, well, we're doing a second session today, so we'll see how we go.
I'm so excited to just understand where I'm coming from and what my body's able to do. I think,
yeah, it's exciting. So, that's awesome. That's it. Anything else to add?
No, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.